Broadcasting from the Cass Corridor in Detroit, this is the Metro. I'm Tia Graham.
And I'm Robin Vincent. Today on the program, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so we're opening the phone lines to all you moms.
What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you became a mom, but no one did? The number is 313-577-1019.
Plus, a new report says Michigan students are falling way behind. So what's the path forward? Advocates have a plan.
But first, 7 Mile and Livernois is home to Detroit's avenue of fashion. Thriving businesses line the streetscape with an array of shops, and most of them Black-owned. But one thing that is sometimes lost when talking about the rich culture of Detroit is its vibrant, bright, and welcoming arts community. From music to fashion to portraits and street art, the city is a place where creatives can thrive. Tiff Massey is one of those creatives. She produces jewelry, sculptures, performances, videos, and music, as well as broader, immersive arts environments. She was also the first Black woman to earn a Master of Fine Arts in Metalsmithing from the Cranbrook Academy of Art, and she's the youngest artist to have a solo exhibit at the Detroit Institute of Arts. That exhibit, 7 Mile and Livernois, closes this weekend. On Friday, the museum is hosting a closing celebration. 7 Mile and Livernois After Dark features live performances from DJs Kesswa and Donavan Glover. Tiff, welcome back to the Metro.
What up, though, and thank you.
Of course. So, since it's been a year since we spoke to you, we spoke to you right before the exhibit opened up, and here we are speaking to you right as it's about to close. Talk to us about a year of 7 Mile and Livernois.
Oh, man, I mean, a year of 7 Mile and Livernois has just been so much love. So many Detroiters or just anybody who has come to the exhibit has said, you know, they feel seen. You know, this is the first time that they've seen, you know, artwork that reflects their lifestyle. I mean, it's Black. I mean, we're in the blackest city in the nation. So, you know, it only makes sense to reflect, you know, the vibe, the culture, the fashion that you've been seeing. I mean, it's been hitting me over my head, you know, ever since I was born. It's like, you know, really, we should be a fashion capital for how we put these looks together, you know. And so if you give me the platform, I have to highlight it.
And highlight it is exactly what you did. I personally was one of those folks who saw it when it opened up and instantly felt seen, like you said. The hair extensions, the different colors of the hair extensions. I looked at the wall and said, I probably wore 50 or 60 of them. You know what I mean? Like, I've worn all those hairstyles.
Yeah.
And so talk about making it that personal and making it that Black as you did, especially at the DIA.
Yeah, well, why would I tap into another culture and just ignore mine? I mean, we're so beautiful as a people. And, you know, I use my platform to talk about, you know, the diaspora and how we adorn ourselves particularly. I don't know any other race of people who adorn. Every follicle got to be laid down before we go outside, you know. And so we are the hair capital of the world. And so it made sense for me to utilize Connect-A-Line to, you know, talk about how we give up our first gems, you know, the hair ties, the bobos, and the barrettes, and we trade it in for, you know, this hair, which becomes like, you know, the next gem. We're using this material as protective styles, and, you know, when we go out or when we go on vacation, because we do not want to damage our own hair, and then it's just looks, mad looks. And so each of those hairstyles are portraits. And so when I was making it, I had a hard time stopping because I'm like, who is missing, you know, and how do you basically, you know, preserve, you know, adolescence, and then, you know, going through being a teenager and thinking you grown and now we got all these baby hairs laid and things like that. I mean, it's just us, you know, and how we like to communicate. And we communicate high key through hair and adornment.
And it's so beautiful because literally that was one of my questions about the evolution of Black women's hair and how it was displayed within the DIA exhibit 7 Mile and Livernois, because you just said it, bobos, and that's what I call them. I was asking folks around, like, what do y'all call them? What do you call those things? And everyone's like, I don't know. And I'm like, I call it a bobo.
Yeah.
So when I saw those as well, and I just thought to myself, I almost had a little teary-eyed moment because you forget about those moments with the bobos laying down in your head, you know, at night before you're going to school in the morning, and it hurts when you are laying down with it. So let's just talk a little bit about the younger generation and the young kids who were able to come in and see themselves on the walls.
Well, I mean, I don't have the words for, the things that I'm hearing, but, sometimes I'll just walk in and try to be low key, but then my spot gets blown. And I hear people saying like, oh my God, I feel so seen. I've never felt so seen. I mean, yes, little Black girls, this is our ritual every day with our moms or whoever our caretakers are. I mean, it could be an older sister, and it just takes you back, to where you had your barrette or your bobo bag and you got to match your colors and figure out what your swag is going to be for the day, but it's also about that labor. It's about nurturing. It's about love. I mean, I've seen grown Black men cry in that space, and regardless if they had their hair plaited and braided, it's still an experience that evokes like love, or it's just very, very nostalgic objects to begin with, but it definitely takes you to a place. And to just think about how long that object has existed. I mean, we're talking about generations who have experienced, this, these barrettes, these bobos. I mean, we're mad generations. And so I'll have grandmothers, mothers, people are bringing their mothers, they're bringing their children. I'm like, please bring the kids, and to see like little girls touch their own hair because they know what that is. And so it's not every day that, us Blacks can go into a museum without reading a damn wall text to be like, yo, this is us, and it just, it is. It just says it right off the bat, and you just get that feeling. And it's just so much, pride and love, surrounding, the exhibition and the objects that I've created. People feel it.
They really do. And I do, I recently scrolling online and I saw a classroom of young kids, and they had a project that was inspired by you and your work, 7 Mile and Livernois. And I literally just was like, oh, I got to take a step back for a moment, because those little things like that really mean so much when we talk about creativity and growing that self-expression as young people, which we often don't get to do and have claim over ourselves. So can you talk about that classroom, if you can, a little bit, and talk about those kids that were able to be inspired by your work?
Oh, man. Well, first, I love the kids. It's really, it's one thing to like carve your own path and lane within the art world, but it's just like, okay, it's gonna be lonely if you just out there doing it by yourself. And so like, what is this level of giving back? And I think it's really important for us to see like reflections of ourselves. Like I did not see any Black metalsmiths or see any Black people making jewelry. I would shadow, shout out Flash Jewelry. It's an Armenian family in the 9 Mile and Greenfield Plaza, and they let me shadow them. And that's rare because of just like culturally, they keep that jewelry game locked down, and so I didn't want to be like that. And so, once it was shown to me that one of the instructors like painted a portrait of me on one of the doors, I was like, yo, I gotta go, and I wish I had time to go to every school that reaches out to me, just because it just really is important for them to not only see what is possible, but then see the person that actually made the things possible.
Yes. And speaking of your metalwork, because that's also a feature within the exhibit itself, and to think about the large scale in which you were creating some of these metalworks, I was thinking to myself, like, how the heck is she doing this? But
Help with my friends.
It was such a large and elaborate scale. But I do want to talk to you about ownership within the community, because that's one of the things that you talked about last time you were on the show, buying land in the community, making sure that you're using it to be third spaces possibly, or spaces that the community could use, or just give back in that way. Where are you with, working on that?
I'm working, but this development real estate game is no joke. And it's a lot of learning, and so I want to do it right. And so right now I'm just building out the final plan for what I would like to actually produce on the West Side. But I think, just studying myself, during this 7 Mile Livernois exhibition, and just watching, the response, I need to do basically a permanent, installation or Tiff Massey Sculpture Park, but we need to live with these objects. And so it is just so important. I'm glad that the exhibition was up for a year. It's rare for exhibitions to be up that long, especially a solo exhibition at a museum. And so, I think we need to live with these objects. What is Black design? It's just like we see it, we know it, but does everybody else know it? Usually when they get a hold of it, they sell it back to us, and then we be like, oh yeah, that's our. But so I'm just, I'm studying myself. I am learning, working with the city of Detroit, BC, I'm working, I'm learning, things change all the time. And it's just really just trying to be on top of it. But I do think that my community deserves. And yeah, I want to give all these other developments a run for their money.
I mean, to have a Tiff Massey installation just you can go to in the city would be absolutely extraordinary.
I want to take everybody brunch money away, and so like have coffee, have your meetings, have like retreats and things like that. It's just there's such a void, in the city as far as other things, creative things that may or may not mean fiscally that you have to, take out your wallet,
Exactly.
So I'm studying myself, and it's going to take me a little bit a minute, to basically catch up with myself.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm flying a plane and I'm building it at the same time. And I'm very grateful and appreciative of this moment. But I'm like, damn, can I have a moment?
Yeah, I was literally going to say, what has it been like having the fanfare, having the attention, the support, the love that's coming to you? We often talk about on the show, but just human nature in general. And it's not a normal thing have that type of fanfare coming at you. So what has that been like?
It's something to get used to. I mean, half of it is like, what I'm trying to focus on is like self-preservation. Because, when people do see me outside, they're excited. They want to tell me what they felt about the exhibition, and I want to be present for that, just because it's not every day that you are walking around and the artist that inspired you, and you're proud of is just outside. And so I try to like give as many moments as I can, but it's on the flip side, I don't think a lot of people understand how it's work. Also, it is draining. I am sharing energy, you know what I'm saying, all the time. And so, we about to have thousands of people that come to the closing party tomorrow, 6:30 to 9:30 pull up, and I am now, really trying to rest today just so I can be on and take all the pictures and, just be present as possible. But it's so much love. I don't know. I don't think I've expected this part of it, but I'm thankful and I'm appreciative, and the love that is being shared with me is because I put it in the exhibition, and I'm just trying to just give it right back.
Yeah, and just speaking of that, just being out, being energetic, being and giving that energy out to other people. What does rest look like for you?
Sleep. It's just straight up sleep. And then like me just trying to be on top of a schedule where I can just get away for a couple of days or just plan, vacations quarterly. Yeah. Right now I just created a new sculpture yesterday that will be in an exhibition called Black Gold in San Francisco that opens in June. And then I have like 3 other sculptures that need to be built by the fall. And so like that's the work, but then the interviews and then being present, it's just another type of work that I didn't really think about, especially putting on an exhibition and just sharing who I've been with the world.
Yeah. And, just speaking of so many different things we just talked about, number one, you're listening to the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. We're speaking with artist Tiff Massey about the closing of her year-long exhibit, 7 Mile and Livernois at the DIA. And once again, it's an amazing exhibit. If you hadn't had a chance to go see it before it does close down. Absolutely stunning artwork on the walls there, as well as you're walking through, you'll see the metal work. But I do want to talk to you a little bit about Detroit's fashion. We were just talking briefly about the Met Gala dandyism, Black dandyism. We're going to have a conversation later on in the show about Black dandyism, but I do want to talk to you about just adornment, because it's one of the things that you talk about and highlight a lot, and Detroit's ability to adorn themselves in very unique ways.
Yeah, half of it, what inspired me to actually start creating and fabricating jewelry was that I was in control of me having my own individualized look. I mean, just growing up in the D, you don't want to go somewhere and somebody got your outfit on. No. I mean, that's almost like, what are we talking about? Like, it's a nuck if you buck moment. What are we doing, sis? Like, we know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're cute. You're cute. I see you. We got the same, vibe going right now, but it's a no, that's not what you want. And so, that's what you see over and over again is, looks that are being put together when everybody goes outside. I mean, you could go to a grocery store. I mean, when I was in high school, we used to cruise 7 Mile, and there'd be a lot of action, cruising Jefferson, Belle Isle, when Belle Isle was, a thing.
Yes.
Sorry for y'all that don't understand what that thing is contemporarily. You have missed out on a big, part of Detroit's history that was literally about car culture, our outfits, pulling up, having the clubs and things like that. So it's just a lot of things that have been embedded that I've been privy to. I mean, just growing up in the 80s, I mean, that's when our style actually was getting the main stage nationally, and just going to these jewelry stores, the scales, of these pieces, just in your face, their status symbols and things like that. And so, just studying art, and just developing my art practice has always been about like the materiality of things, the hierarchy of these materialities and how they're manipulated. I mean, Kanekalon was what, $3 a pack or whatever, but how we get that boy and manipulate that material, I mean, it's the pack has elevated, you know what I'm saying? And that price is not that price, it's just what we are able to do, with materials to just come up with these original ideas.
I mean, I grew up with a sister who did hair. So, yeah, I mean, I was a test model for a lot of stuff. So I definitely understand what that $3 pack of hair can do for so many different looks and so many different styles. So before I do let you go, I want to talk to you just one more time about 7 Mile and Livernois and in closing, and what you hope truly that people take away from it and, going forward in the future, some of the things that you're hoping to see coming out of it.
Well, I really hope that the takeaway is that we're talented. I don't want to cuss, but I can't say that. Like, we're talent. There's a lot of talent here. Like, I just feel like it's in the water. We have something. But then also that our perspective matters. Like, here it is, when you go to art school, they utilize Europe as that should be your gaze of focus. Like, that isn't my gaze. I literally did the opposite of what they tell you to do in art school, and I focused on Blackness. I'm not even being inclusive in that shit. And what's so interesting is that the response is inclusive. And so they've just been so scared of us, highlighting our own perspective, glorifying our perspective, highlighting us in a way that we should. And we've known that we are. And that's basically what I did. And the DIA has received, the largest response. Outside of the Van Gogh, it's like me and Van Gogh is battling out as far as, numbers right now, and so like at the end of the day also too, that's some of the elements that are in the exhibition. They asked me to respond to their permanent collection. And so on the white walls, there's Donald Judd and there's Louise Nevelson. These artists are in every contemporary art museum. I was treating this like an art battle. So these are your kings and queens. And so we deserve. And so let's battle this. Let's battle it out. Let's see what the response is for real. Like, this is just some black, not just some black, but it's us, high key, unapologetic, and we're beautiful and we're battling out.
I mean, that's a mic drop right there, because Van Gogh, you're battling with Van Gogh at DIA? That's amazing.
As far as attendance, they don't have attendance like this.
Oh my gosh. Detroit artist Tiff Massey having a closing party for exhibit 7 Mile and Livernois at the Detroit Institute of Arts this Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. You can find out more information at dia.org, and I will be there. Thank you so much for being here on the show today, Tiff.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up, we're paying respect to mothers ahead of Mother's Day on Sunday. We'll hear from a few moms in Metro Detroit about the joys and challenges of motherhood. And we also want to hear from you. What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you became a mom, but no one did? The number is 313-577-1019, 313-577-1019. You all stay right there for the Metro.